So before 2013 comes crashing into this room and I'm killed instantly, these are my top 10 movies of 2012. Looper, starring badass Bruce Willis and little young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a futuristic movie about time travel that kind of pokes fun at the concept of making a time travel movie. Sure, it had some ups and it had some downs, but I really like how the futuristic settings of this movie were bleak and realistic, but not everything was super futuristic. You still had homeless people over there, you still had pieces of shit cars over there, and you still ate food with a fork. I thought they did a pretty damn good with transforming Joseph Gordon-Levitt into a young Bruce Willis with the prosthetic makeup. I mean, after the first 5 minutes, you kind of just got used to seeing him as a young-looking Bruce Willis. But I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's hairline was a little bit stronger than Willis's, no matter what you say. It was, by that age, Bruce Willis had a few hair plugs that were standing out a little bit too obvious. Overall, Looper was a badass movie, and once they got to the farmhouse part of the movie, it slowed down a little bit, and then you had the kid at the end of the movie with Magneto telekinesis kind of powers. But overall, I really enjoyed Looper. You know, everybody wants to just go home and nuke the TV dinners. They don't care. I'm sorry, that was my Ben Affleck impression. Not very good? I know. Anyway, it's Argo, directed by Ben Affleck and starring Ben Affleck. You know, I have a secret conspiracy theory about Ben Affleck. The reason he became a good director is so he could cast himself in good movies. A few minor complaints about the movie is I didn't really feel a lot of emotion towards the hostages Ben Affleck was trying to get out of the country. I felt a little more sympathy towards the other hostages that were kind of taken over by the terrorists and had guns to their head on a daily basis. Not the ones playing, you know, board games and drinking wine in a Canadian ambassador's house. Argo was well made, well acted, even though I don't quite agree with the last 10 minutes of the movie being kind of a cliche, stereotypical, we gotta put a lot of suspense into the audience, and we gotta chase the airplane down the runway. Okay, I need you guys to bear with me for a second, and I want you to know, I'm a man. I'm still a man. I'm a weak, fragile man, but I'm still there. I hold on to my little ounce of dignity, and I put it in my pocket. It's Magic Mike. Yeah, I know this movie's based on male strippers, but you know what? That's a career choice that I could have went down that route in high school. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy ever. It was either college or becoming a male stripper. But you know what? Magic Mike was a well-made movie. It was well-acted, well-directed, and just the entire business aspect of the male stripping thing, I don't know why. It was kind of interesting just to see what the behind-the-scenes camaraderie was like between these guys, even though it included a lot of drugs, but it was interesting. And you know what? I'm glad my girlfriend dragged me to see Magic Mike because it had a lot of laughs, it had a lot of dark humor, which I always like, and Matthew McConaughey, Jesus, that guy, he works out. We got a lot of lawbreakers up in here tonight. Ridley Scott's Prometheus, a loose sequel, prequel, whatever you want to call it. It's technically a prequel to the Alien franchise. For everything in this movie that I disagreed with, there was like 5 more things that I thought was pretty cool. And the entire concept of our creators making us and then one day just being like, hey, you know what? We fucked up. We gotta go destroy these things with this black goo. You guys wanna do it? Let's do it. And the movie had several scenes that were really intense, especially the space alien abortion. Cesarean section. If you guys didn't see the movie, that didn't make a lot of sense and probably scared you. I'm sorry. Yeah, rookie. Well, we're going up. Next up, it's Dredd. Judging by the trailers, I expected this movie to be a B-rate pile of shit with Sylvester Stallone's footprint in it. But you know what I got? I got a badass action movie starring Carl Urban as Judge Dredd. But overall, the guy got the character down packed, and this is what the comic book Dredd was supposed to be. Hell no, you know, you wanna break the law, you gotta beat the law, you know? A few things about Dredd is the budget wasn't some $150 million movie. You know, it had kind of a modest budget for a comic book action summer movie. The story was simple, to the point, it was badass, it was rated R, and I respect everything about that. This next movie stars Channing Tatum. Oh my god, 2 movies in my top 10 with Channing Tatum in it? I never thought I'd be saying that. It's 21 Jump Street. Now, who would have thought Channing Tatum in a comedy could be funny? But he was. Now, much like Judge Dredd, 21 Jump Street took me by surprise. You know, I didn't expect much from this movie. I just thought it was going to be kind of a mediocre piece of trash. Jonah Hill is just like a guy I would hang out in high school with, and we kind of skip class and hang out, you know, where would we hang out? Probably by the soda machine, but on the side of it, like on a little bench, just telling jokes all day long. The movie also had James Franco's little brother. This is my impression of him. You guys don't buy drugs? It's 007 Skyfall. This is a sequel to Casino Royale, and I know what you're saying. There was another movie in the middle there, John. In my mind, there wasn't, because I brainwashed it out a long time ago. Anyway, Sam Mendes directed Skyfall, starring Daniel Craig as 007 once again. The movie's tone was dark, it was raw, and it was almost a huge revenge story. And Javier Bardem's villainous character, what a creepy bastard, and what a great villain. You know, we haven't really had a great 007 villain in the last 20 years. Anyway, as a James Bond movie, this movie had the action, it had the drama, it had all the badass, kick-ass moments, and it finally introduced Q to the Daniel Craig series as the Arms Master, which I can't wait to see what they do with him in future installments. But anyway, just a beautiful looking movie. Anyway, Skyfall is definitely one of the best 007 movies for the franchise. You know, Steven, speaking of drugs, you remember that super soldier serum you took about 50 years ago? Yeah, we have another name for that nowadays. It's called steroids. The Avengers, the most epic amalgamation of all these badass comic book Marvel superheroes coming together to kick some ass. By kicking some ass, I mean they just kicked Loki's ass, which... I mean, come on. The Hulk did it by himself. He didn't really need the whole team there. Now, they picked the perfect director for this movie. Joss Whedon, a comic book fanboy who's a good director and can have a lot of fun with a movie and get, you know, characters and emotion and all that good stuff that makes a good movie together and not make it feel bloated. It was basically the definition of a perfect summer blockbuster popcorn action movie. The Avengers. It was big, it was epic, it was a good time at the theater. Now, this next movie was one of the most enjoyable theater experiences I've had all year. Hell, it's probably one of the best movies I've seen in my entire life, and probably one of the most enjoyable times I've ever had at a theater watching a movie. It's Django Unchained, directed by the famous Quentin Tarantino. You know, every scene in this movie really counted for something. You know, every scene rewarded the audience. It wasn't just filler, oh, good scene. Every scene really had something about it that was just memorable. You know, the thing about Tarantino is, his movies have a lot of dialect, you know, a lot of conversation back and forth. In this movie, every scene that he had, I just was captivated by. This movie literally gave me every single emotion I was looking for. Okay, so if you guys watch my videos, you guys probably could have guessed what the #1 pick was going to be. It's The Dark Knight Rises. So first, let me say this, I'm a huge Batman fan, and #2, I like good movies. And this combines both of them. Now listen, I know the cool thing nowadays is to hate on The Dark Knight Rises for whatever reason and, you know, say it's not as good as The Dark Knight. Well, you know what? You might be right in the comparison there, but you know what? Overall, this is still a damn good movie with Batman in it. It had Bane, played by Tom Hardy, which his performance was just captivating. It was badass. It was exactly what it should have been. It was surprising, and he did what he should have with that character. I mean, the same thing that Heath Ledger did with the Joker and taking it into his own, you know, his method, his way, his style, and everyone trying to imitate that just because they thought it was so cool it became part of pop culture. That's what Tom Hardy did with the character of Bane. Gotham is ours. Do with it as you please. You know, The Dark Knight Rises is the conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman series. And you know what? Overall, it was fulfilling, it was rewarding, and you really got to see the dark side of Bruce Wayne, and you got to see him rise up to become Batman and save the city. I mean, the stakes in this movie were at an all-time high. Could you have made them any higher? There's a ticking time bomb about to kill everybody. You got a madman, and, you know, Batman has to save Gotham. What else can you do? I mean, they did it. Anyway, when I was deciding what movies to put in my top 10 list, they had to give me all these emotions that I was looking for and give me goosebumps at least one point in the movie. And The Dark Knight Rises definitely did all of those things. I was happy with the movie, and it, you know, it lived up to the hype in my opinion. You know, I'm a huge Batman fan, and it was everything that I needed it to be, and a little bit more. And then you have Michael Caine crying at the end of the movie. I mean, I wanted to cry too. I thought the guy was dead. I go get a bloody Franca. So anyway guys, those are my top 10 picks for 2012. Let me know what your top 10 picks are down below, or at least your number one favorite movie of the year. And don't be scared, type away. Give me a paragraph of why that's your favorite movie. Tell me why and what that movie did for you that makes it number one. So anyway guys, I'm John with the Flick Pick channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.